whatever the vision therapy process that they did, everything helped. He can't really explain to me exactly why, but it did. She, as the picture shows you, is out of bed. She's working. She's walking. She's living her life. And you cannot tell me that vision therapy did not change this woman's life. It gave her her life back. She was told at the age of 51 by an ear, nose, and throat doctor, before she ever even sought out Dr. Backstrom in vision therapy, that life as she knew it was over. 51. Okay, I'm 50. I don't want anyone to tell me my life as I know it is over. So one of my favorite quotes in the book, in the chapter Terry, is written by Jillian, of course. And Jillian said, "Terry, if anyone ever tells you again that you'll never be who you once were, I say smack them with your walking stick and head straight out their door." Yay, Jillian. She's right. She's totally right. Terry doesn't even have to use her walking stick to walk unless she's going a really long walk, like a mile or two. She's back on her feet, both literally and figuratively, and we couldn't be more excited for her. The last person I want to tell you about in the book is Matthew. Matthew is also one of my faves. Matthew has Down syndrome, and he's 17 years old. So how did Matthew end up in vision therapy? Well, his mother was invited to a presentation for children with learning challenges. And the special needs support group that she is in sent her the message. And so she went. And Dr. Gabby Marshall began to talk about vision therapy. And she realized that a lot of things that she was describing described her son Matthew. So she took Matthew to see Dr. Gabby. Well, guess what, you guys? Up until recently, Matthew didn't even know that anything existed beyond the interior of a car when he was sitting in the back seat. He had no peripheral vision. He was limited to a life right in front of him. He couldn't read. He couldn't really play sports. All he really liked to do was swing on the swing set music. Not too long after vision therapy began, Matthew came downstairs one night with a book in his hand and read Sunny Weather Days to his mom and dad. He can read. He can play basketball. And more than anything else, just like Jillian, Matthew is happy. So there's Matthew. So I think you'll see, even by just going over a few of the people in the book, that vision therapy had a really dramatic change and effect on them. They would tell you point blank that vision therapy changed their lives. And I said last time I was there that vision therapy to you is clinical, but to me and other parents, it's emotional. So that's a little bit of the difference. So I told you I loved some of the things that Jillian said in the book, and this is how the whole thing went down. I would write during the day, and when Jillian would get home from school, she would sit down, and I would say, I finished this backstory on Matthew, for example. Why don't you read what I wrote, and you take it from there? And Jillian talks about how they're doing today, and she also addresses certain problems that they encountered and adds a lot of her opinion. And when I sent the book into the publisher, my editor called and she said, do I need to change some of these kind of harsh comments that Jillian made? I said, don't change a single word. Because these are things that need to be said that a 14, almost 15-year-old young lady who went through all these problems and successfully changed her life through vision therapy can say, that a lot of the rest of us cannot say. One of my favorites is, I think all optometrists, you read that? I think all optometrists need to get on the same page when it comes to vision therapy. The reason Jillian said this is that one of the people in the book, one of the children in the book, whose teacher that we interviewed told Jillian that she had been to an education conference with over 1,000 teachers about 4 years ago in Chicago, was told, all of them were told in the presentation that vision therapy doesn't work by an optometrist. What the heck? No one can make that claim that it does not work. It does work. It doesn't always work the same for everybody, but it works. So I think that this comment is great. And I actually had a couple of optometrists that don't do vision therapy email me and say, I think Jillian was right to say that. And it might ruffle a few feathers, but she was right to say it. There's a chapter in the book about a lady named Terry who had anxiety so badly she couldn't drive a car. And someone took her to vision therapy at the age of 27, I think it was, and she was evaluated, and Dr. Nate, who I introduced you to earlier in those pictures, said she needed vision therapy for convergence insufficiency, I think it was, and a few other issues. And she was so wigged out trying to drive her car in Tampa, Florida, that she didn't go to vision therapy. She kept thinking that she had to get her anxiety under control so she could go to vision therapy, when the truth was she had to get her eyes corrected, vision corrected, so that the anxiety could get under control. So Jillian wrote about Tony. She writes, "Can you believe that this woman with major anxiety issues and panic attacks while riding in a car is now horseback riding on the back of a horse? And not just any horse, but a horse that leaps into the air and jumps big hurdles. That is so cool." Terry is now an equestrian horseback rider who's winning medals in her age category. And I find that amazing for a woman that could not even stand to get in a car to do. In the chapter about Milosh is a little boy. Well, he's not a little boy now. He's 16. But he started vision therapy when he was a little boy. And Milosh has cerebral palsy. And his mother is a doctor, a physician. And she took him to vision therapy, despite the fact that many doctors disapprove of it. And Jillian wrote about Milosh's mother. As a physician, she now understands the role vision therapy can play in changing a life. And not only does she believe in it, but she also thinks it should be covered by insurance. I could just hug her. Jillian also had the opportunity to get to know someone who she admires greatly, and that's Dr. Robert Sannett. Are you guys familiar with Sannett seminars and all that? Dr. Sannett is a giant in the world of vision therapy, and he has taught Jillian so much. And they Skype each other all the time, and when we were doing this book, they Skyped each other, and she interviewed him and asked him questions. And in his office, on the wall, he has a saying. Let me see if I can get this. It says, you can see that, "The true gift of giving is planting trees under whose shade you will never sit." And Jillian asked him about that one day. And she printed this off and she hung it up in her room. And as she was writing one day, it occurred to her that this described her. Because you see, Dr. Sannett taught Jillian's doctor, Dr. Horning. and Dr. Horning helped Jillian. And so she wrote in the book, to Dr. Sannett, from this young lady who was lucky enough to sit in the shade of a tree that you planted, thank you, Dr. Sannett. You will always be my favorite giant. And that's the way it works. Whatever right now that you're learning in school, you will take and go out and have your practices planting trees. And you will touch a lot of lives, and you will help a lot of people. And you won't even know it. But someday when you're my age, some little 14-year-old kid is going to stand up and tell you, thank you for changing my life. Because I sat in the shade of a tree that you planted. So I think it's really important, and what they read earlier that Jillian said about ideas and know what it can do. Because you hold the key to changing someone's life in your hand. She's really genuine when she says that, because she strongly believes it. And I hope that as the years go by that you will keep in touch with us. Email, I'm Robin at JillianStory.com, and Jillian is Jillian at JillianStory.com, or you can find us on Facebook. But every now and then, please do me a favor and drop us a note. I started my practice, and today I saw a little girl with amblyopia. It made me think of you. Or, hey, remember the lady you told me about that had polyneuritis? I met somebody just like that. Or somebody with a stroke, or somebody that came in with traumatic brain injury after an accident, and where is that? Because I would want to know. This is Larry Fitzgerald, and he's a football player, a professional football player for the Arizona Cardinals. And Larry wrote the foreword for Dear Jillian. You know why? Because Larry had vision therapy when he was a kid. And he claims that everything that he obtained through vision therapy has turned him into the athlete that he is today. And he's a Pro Bowler, so that's pretty big. So this is kind of amazing. And this is our new website. Both books are, you can order either one at JillianStory.com. And pretty soon we're going to start posting additional success stories that didn't get into the book. I actually interviewed about 55 people, and we had to narrow it down to 22. Or we decided to narrow it down to 22. About strabismus or, oops, things just got kind of weird. We had several with amblyopia, and I wanted to limit it. The traumatic brain injury cases, oh my gosh, they just came pouring out of the woodwork. They're everywhere. I could write an entire book about stroke, an entire book about traumatic brain injury, an entire book about every topic. That's how many success stories are out there. And I just wanted you to know about that. And I hope that I've been able to communicate with you today how important vision therapy is to people and how special it is. And I hope that somehow I've been able to communicate with you, how am I trying to say this? That what you're learning, you're going to put to work immediately. And as you are learning and going through your rotation and doing all of this, I hope that you'll think, wow, so using this piece of equipment could really change somebody's life and help them. And I wish you all the best. If I can ever do anything for you, don't hesitate to ask. I'm here to support you, and I wish you tremendous success in the future, and I thank you for your time.